This has no reason being so tasty, especially for how easy it is. Hey, I'm Nick and today I'm going to show you my tried and true recipe for Jamaican baked chicken. I'm talking about big flavors with simple techniques and ingredients you probably already have at home. I'm also going to show you how I easily make the most delicious roast potatoes to go with this. Let's dive right in. For baked chicken, I prefer using dark meat cuts. They are much more forgiving and harder to overcook, which makes them perfect for baking. Dark meat muscles work harder, meaning they have more connective tissue, a richer color and great intramuscular fat. All that just means more flavor and a juicier meat after it's baked. No, I have nothing against chicken breasts. They can be great baked, but they tend to dry out easily. I save them for quicker meals like a pasta dish. Baked chicken really shines when you use fresh seasonings. I chose these ingredients for their strong flavors, giving the chicken that real Jamaican punch. I also have a very detailed, very entertaining video on how to make green season. Check it out if you want a deep dive into Jamaican green season. I'll link it below. Great, so in my blender, I'm adding 3 tablespoons each of oil and white vinegar. This is about 2 tablespoons of dried allspice, a tablespoon of salt, 2 heads peeled garlic, about 2 inches ginger, 1 medium onion, a couple stalks of scallion, and of course a generous amount of fresh thyme because dry thyme is a scam. For some heat and that signature scotchy flavor, I'm using 3 scotch bonnet pepper. Next, throw in a big pinch of black pepper. And finally give that a blend. If it's not blending easily, just use an additional splash of oil. I avoid any water because it dilutes the flavor. And that's it, you have a super concentrated flavor bomb that will elevate your chicken. This baked chicken really doesn't need a ton of ingredients to be amazing. First up, we have about 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. It adds a bit of color and flavor, but bear in mind that it's salty, so factor that in. Next, I'm adding about 1.5 tablespoons of homemade browning. I'm using homemade browning for its smoky, deep caramel flavor. Store-bought will add color, but it lacks that depth. I've got a full video on making browning from scratch, which I'll link below. Then we have about 2 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning. I'm using a Jamaican brand that uses local ingredients like pimento, which I really love. You can switch it up and use complete seasoning or an all-purpose seasoning. It's just to add a little extra something to the chicken. Now for the real heavy hitter, 2 tablespoons of blended green seasoning. I would probably add another tablespoon if I wasn't using the Cajun seasoning. Now simply massage that in. I don't need to add extra salt because the soy sauce, Cajun seasoning and green seasoning all have salt in them. But I'm adding a little more black pepper just to balance everything out. Make sure everything's combined properly and you're good to go. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment below. I may not always get to respond, but trust me, I read every single one. Look at that. That's some seriously good looking chicken. Just imagine the flavors packed into that. I'm going to wrap this up and let it marinate for about an hour. At least 30 minutes is good, but trust me, if you have the time, leave it in the fridge overnight. The longer it marinates, the deeper those flavors soak in, making it taste even better. These are ready now, so I'm going to place them on a baking tray. I'm placing them skin side down. This helps renders the fat from the chicken skin for a much better texture. Plus, it keeps the chicken juicy while it bakes. It's a sin to waste flavor, so I'm saving all of that leftover marinade from the chicken for something special later. For now, I'm going to place this in the oven at 350 degrees. After about 10 to 15 minutes, this should start to release some juices. This is coming along really well, but I'm going to give them another 5 minutes. Next up, we're making an incredible pan sauce with deep, intense flavors. Once the chicken releases its juices, I'm pouring them off into the saucepan. These juices are packed with flavor and make a perfect base for the sauce. Place the chicken back into the oven while we focus on this sauce. Now, it's time to use our leftover marinade. Do not waste one single drop. I'm going to reduce this down on low heat to really concentrate the flavors. For an extra flavor boost, I'm adding another tablespoon of green seasoning. Cook it down to develop even more flavor. Next, I'm adding a cup of tomato ketchup. We'll cook this off for a bit to mellow out that sharp ketchup flavor. For a fruity note, I love adding orange juice. It balances the acidity in the sauce with some natural sweetness. Pineapple juice is a great alternative if you prefer that. A cup and a half of OJ should do it. Now just cook this down until it reaches that beautiful thick saucy consistency. It's been about 30 minutes and the chicken is looking almost ready. Now it's time to glaze with that delicious sauce. I'm going to slather the sauce generously over the chicken. A brush isn't necessary, just spoon over large amounts of the sauce. Next, flip the chicken skin side up and glaze the other side. This sauce has the perfect thickness, so one layer is all we need for great coverage. The smell is incredible. This is pretty much done. I'm going to pop it back in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for just about 5 minutes, just to let that sauce caramelize and deepen in color. While the chicken is finishing up, let's work on those delicious roast potatoes I mentioned. I'm using some round white potatoes here. They're a great all-purpose choice that work just as well roasted as they do fried or boiled. I'll start by peeling and cutting these into wedges. At this size, I can easily get 4 wedges from each potato. Potatoes aren't usually my go-to side with baked chicken, but I had extra on hand and this recipe is too simple and tasty not to share. What's your favorite side with baked chicken? Let me know down in the comments. Great, I'm going to give these potatoes a quick rinse. Then place them on a baking tray. Now let's season with a light sprinkle of Cajun seasoning, salt, black pepper, and a big drizzle of olive oil. Give everything a good toss so that seasoning gets distributed nicely. These go into the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes or until they cook right through. Wow, that is ready. I love finishing with a bit of fresh thyme. It gives it a fresh herby kick that really enhances the chicken. Look at that caramelized sauce. One of the best parts of a good baked chicken is definitely the skin. It's a real flavor bomb. That right there is some good flavor and it's a terrible sin to waste it. So let's take all those drippings and add it back to the saucepan. I could add a splash of orange juice or stock to loosen it up, but I'm trying to avoid those areas that are a bit too burnt. That will make everything bitter. Wow, we developed some really intense savory flavors with this sauce. Our roast potatoes are finally done and look at that. We have a bit of crispiness going on. They're already great, but let's take it one step further. Freshly chopped parsley does wonders here, transforming the flavors completely. Those bright herby notes give the potatoes a nice depth and complement the savory baked chicken really well. Parsley not only tastes good, but it's an easy way to make your food look much more appetizing. Rice and peas are a classic, but if you're after something fast, this is the perfect side. The oven is already hot, so it just makes sense to throw these in alongside the chicken and make the most of it. Pour over a little bit of that super delicious sauce to complete this awesome meal. This is a solid comfort food with big flavors. I really love those potatoes. The Cajun seasoning adds a really nice kick and olive oil gives this a clean, rich flavor. This is so good. Using the chicken juices to make the sauce gives me some crazy intense flavors. This have a savory sweetness with a nice kick from all the spices and the chicken is still very juicy. If you try this recipe, don't forget to drop by and comment. This was very tasty, but you know what else is tasty? This next video right here.